Hi, and welcome to the Opinionated Bitch. I am the transvestite that sleeps with your dad, Prince Electro Diamond. Today, I am coming back to what is honestly, one of my favorite things to do, which is this show. I've missed doing it so much, but in this time, I've stepped away. I've had to return. Why? Because the mainstream media has been useless, and let's fucking face it, nobody's going to tell you the actual truth of what they feel on a topic. So, with further ado, let's talk about the election and post election America. Here's what I got to say. Everyone who acted like, "Oh my gosh, this is such a bad thing. This was such a good thing for the country. Donald Trump's back." Are y'all fucking stupid? Let's get real. The man proved that he's not going to help you in 2016. Y'all voted for him in 2020, and yet all of a sudden we get to 4 years later. Now, granted, I'm not going to say that Joe Biden was like an amazing, amazing choice because he wasn't, and neither was Kamala Harris. Although, yes, I will absolutely 1000% admit she got a raw deal. She absolutely got a raw deal because she got to be she got to run for what? A month? No, 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 not a month. My bad. 5 months. Meanwhile, Donald Trump got to run for at least 2 plus years. I mean, let's get real. Anyone who's like, "Oh, but she came back so strong. She was supposed to be a person who had views." How the fuck can you have views? And not only that, but the view she ran on is she might flip flop on this issue and that issue, but hey, she's pro Israel. I'm sorry, what? You're gonna tell me when motherfuckers are pulling up to the gas pump and seeing gas prices, or trying to buy a house, or trying to, yeah, buy a house, invest in property, become part of the quote unquote American dream, that they give a fuck that she's pro Israel? Really? Like, why would you say that that's your position? You're pro Israel. Hey, forget all this stuff. She's pro Israel. Nobody gives a shit. Like, I don't know about most people, but let's get serious. That would be like the lowest of my issues. And first of all, most of the country doesn't want us to be helping that genocide anyway. They would rather us be on one side or the other. No, not on one side or the other. Be like withdrawn. And that's how it should be. But instead, we're having to listen to, "Oh, she's pro Israel." Like, come on now. And yes, was she the person who should have run? Of course not. And you've got people like Joe Biden who's talking about his dead son as if he's still alive, and that's the person you're supposed to put to the forefront. This election was lost for the Democratic Party solely because of the higher ups in the Democratic Party. Because honestly, they had a chance in 2016, they had a chance in 2020, and that person's name was Bernie Sanders. That's who everyone should have gone towards. But instead, they're like, "Oh, let's go to Hillary Clinton. Let's go to Joe Biden." Why? Because they're revered, because they're old. Why? That's what I want to ask of you. And those of you who were like enthusiastically voting for either Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden the first time in the primaries, what were you voting for? That's what I have to ask you. What were you voting for? Because you can't say that you were voting for the person who was best for the job, because what made Hillary Clinton best for the job? The fact that she was fucking the guy who at one point was president? The fact that she stood up well against the Monica Lewinsky scandal? What was Hillary Clinton's big appeal? This is what I have to ask to people. Because in all honesty, just like for Kamala Harris, I'm not saying that there shouldn't have been a Democratic nominee. Obviously, obviously I would absolutely support the Democratic nominee because let's get real. Donald Trump got in and now he's proposing to make bans on the porn industry. Lest most people forget that one of the people he fucked was Stormy Daniels, who's a fucking porn star. But now all of a sudden you're going to be against the porn industry? Really? You? It's honestly, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to feel. And I will say, I used to live in Florida. Thank God I don't now. Because when I was here, I live in Detroit. I felt a great sense of loss when Donald Trump said that, or was announced that he was elected. I felt a great sense of loss. And I wouldn't have felt that in Florida. I would have felt people partying all around because they got what they wanted. And honestly, only when, let's forget the racist stuff. Let's forget the sexist stuff with Donald Trump. Donald Trump is a blowhard who acts like everything he does is fucking amazing. And this was the person that everyone's like, yeah, let's go towards him. Why? Because he enthusiastically speaks about stuff he's never going to get done. Because yes, he built a wall, but did he ever get Mexico to pay for it? No. He took it from the tax dollars of the people of the United States. And all the people who are voting for Donald Trump, just think about that when all of a sudden in the next 4 years, you wind up with a tax that adds $4,000 to your grocery bill. And you can think, where did this come from? It came from dumbasses like you who believed that he was going to actually protect you. He does not give a shit about you. He will never give a shit about you. And the reason for that is because he was born rich and he is rich. And you get lost in the system as a rich person. That's honestly why, even with Kamala Harris, they're saying she's from the working class. She's been a prosecutor she was a prosecutor and then a senator and then a vice president and then was trying to run for president. So she has not been part of the middle class for decades. And that's the person that you think is going to support you, somebody who hasn't been a part of this system for the longest time. There used to be a time where in this country, the common people actually used to run. There was a time where you used to go to run the White House, or used to go, sorry, not the White House, used to go run the country and then would go home to your farm. That's when the country was run by the common people. And I'm not saying that necessarily career politicians are a bad thing. They're actually kind of a good thing because, in that sense, they're actually experienced at what they're doing. Because honestly, what has Donald Trump done? He's gone bankrupt, I believe it's 4 or 5 times. It's called the Opinionated bitch. I don't have to honestly have facts, but I believe he's gone bankrupt at least 4 times, if not more. And that's the person that y'all thought, oh yeah, let's let him be the president. If you went bankrupt or you tanked any other job, see, this is why people don't understand the rich and why I will never understand the rich. Because being rich or being a CEO is the only fucking job in this country where you can bankrupt a company, get fired, and leave with millions of dollars. You fucking failed, and you get to leave your job with thousands of dollars, thousands, millions of dollars for fucking up. It's not the only job. I mean, granted, you make an album, you make a movie. If it fails, you still get to make the money. But it's like only when you're in that upper echelon can you even think of being a millionaire. That's why when people say they don't relate to the entertainment industry, I understand why they don't relate to the entertainment industry because entertainers are not like us. When I'm speaking about entertainers, I'm talking about rich entertainers because I have a normal life. Unfortunately, I get to take all this shit off, and then I have to live among you people. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, but but it's like I live a normal life. I work a 9 to 5. I understand this shit. I understand the failing. It's something that people don't get. It's something that people will never get because they're so far withdrawn from that lifestyle that they don't understand what it's like to be us. That's why people are voting for Donald Trump. He's speaking for us. He's speaking for the common man. Again, going back to what I said before. How can you elect somebody who's never been broke? Because even when he was bankrupt, he still got bailed out. When the common person goes broke, they go broke. They end up on the fucking streets. But yet, Donald Trump fucks up multiple times. And what does he get? He gets to just go to a party and make money. I don't get it. I will never understand it. That's why when people come to this country for the quote unquote American dream, what is the American dream? Because I don't think we have one anymore. I think that vision of owning a white picket fence in a house is never going to happen. You want to know why? Because the corrupt politicians in Washington on both sides are letting real estate companies, along with every other company, run mad with power. And Now, nobody can afford things. Nobody can afford houses because they're letting foreign entities come in and buy up all the real estate, which is forcing people to become renters for life. We are essentially becoming corporate slaves. We are becoming indentured to landlords. We are slaves. And yes, I'm not saying that in like the sense of, oh my gosh, slavery wasn't a bad thing. I didn't say that it's the same thing. I'm saying we're becoming corporate slaves because we're forced to live in a system that is forever going to keep people broke. That's why people my age and younger, we're never going to be able to own houses. We're never going to be able to do anything. We're never going to be able to retire. That's why people, baby boomers, are talking about, oh, what's this generation going to do when they retire? We're not going to be able to fucking retire because of decisions that you made years and years and years ago. Because let's get real. The moment Citizens United was overturned and they essentially let corporations buy off politicians, the American people lost forever. They lost forever. They were never going to be able to come back from that. And until that's overturned, guess what? We're going to be stuck in a system where being the most qualified is not what gets you in office, but being the person who can spend the most amount of money on a political campaign is what qualifies you to run the country. That's all it is. It's all about money. It's about money and it's about money winning the electoral college, which is ridiculous because honestly, we should have a system where I vote, you vote. That's all that matters. Not I vote, you vote. They pick somebody else. They get picked out of like a quote unquote college, electoral college system. They're the ones who get to vote, and that's who chooses the president. We should not have a two-step process of choosing who runs the country. We should have a one-step process of who runs the country, which is people vote, they speak. When they speak, that should be who runs the country. Because let's get real. There are times like it's not uncommon for Republicans to cheat in elections. Hell, they did it back in 2000 when George Bush got elected. Al Gore won the popular vote. George Bush became the president. Why? I have no idea. Be- Other than Fox News cheated for George Bush. Again, thank you, America. Because the system is run by corporate overlords. And it's honestly why people are like, oh, but I don't ever want this to happen to me. I don't ever want to feel like I want to have a beer with the president. That's what people are like. I'm voting for the president because I'm voting for the person I want to have a beer with. What? Intellect should be involved in voting for the president. I'm going to repeat that. Intellect should be involved in voting for the president. If you want to have a beer with somebody, that should not be the reason why they run the country. It should be because they're actually fucking qualified to run the country. And honestly, shit, it's not that hard to pick somebody who's qualified. If you do research and you have somebody who says, "Oh, I promised you this, this, and that," and you think, "Well, why?" This is the question people should ask for Donald Trump. If you're promising all this shit now, why didn't you propose it when you were in the White House for 4 years? Because I'm not saying it would get done because it takes forever to get bills turned into laws, not through executive orders. So if you actually wanted it, why weren't you proposing it? That's the question I have for you. And now people ask the question of what's going to happen in 2025. Nothing's immediately going to happen, but slowly but surely, things are going to get overturned. And when things get overturned, you have to ask yourself, but why did this happen? And I can tell you why this happened. It's because you didn't pay attention. You went into your polling spot. You voted for Donald Trump because he blowharded his way into making bullshit promises that he was never going to actually fulfill. Because this is what I have to say. To people say with age comes conservatism. No. I mean, yes, people do become more conservative with age. Some people. Some people stay very sort of like even keel, especially artistic people stay pretty even keel and let things happen, let the generations flow, kind of let people do what they do. That's what liberalism is. Let people do what they do as long as it doesn't harm them or somebody else. That's honestly what it is. And what republicanism comes with is turning off your brain because anyone who thinks, "Oh, I'm going to vote Republican," really? Because here's what voting Republican is now. Meaning, if you were Republican in 2000, 2008, 2010, 2012, okay, I can understand that. There was some civility there. But now, when you see that the Republicans are sitting there trying to stop gun bans from happening, essentially making it so that your kids you're sending to school can have a greater chance of getting fucking shot dead because that's what it is. When you don't put gun bans, when you don't fight for psychological exams before getting guns, when you allow anyone who has the money to buy a gun, that's what's going to happen. That's why gun shootings are so rampant in the United States because they let any motherfucker who has the money to buy a gun get a gun. So guess what's going to happen? More people are going to die. More people are going to die. This isn't a thing of, oh, they might die. No, more people are going to die. They're going to die and they're going to continue to die because they can buy assault rifles, which people say, I need that for defense. You need for defense a rifle that's used to kill people. I understand not wanting to trust the police. Believe me, nobody understands that. As someone who has been the victim of police harassment, you can trust. I believe that the police are not necessarily always going to be there to help you. But that does not mean that you should have a gun in your fucking house or apartment that's used to kill somebody. You want to have a handgun because you feel safe with a handgun, get a handgun. You need a rifle to go hunting deer. I don't think you should be doing that. I think it's like a waste of time. But if you want to go hunting deer, go hunting deer. I don't fucking care. But if you're telling me something that's used by a military to destroy people is needed in your house, Imma say this now. You a fucking dumbass. You legit are a fucking dumbass. Because you will never convince me that you need an assault rifle in your house. That you need an AR-15 in your house. You're never gonna convince me of that. Because you don't need it. I don't care if you live in the middle of nowhere. You do not need a fucking assault rifle in your house. And if you think you do, then do me a favor. Go send the money to the Nigerian prince. Because that's about as believable as you saying that you need an assault rifle in your fucking apartment. The violence needs to stop. The war needs to stop. We need to become a country of peace. We need to take in the huddle masses. That's why when people are so anti-refugee, I'm not saying that we have to give them money, but let's get real. You can't fight for land. That's why when people are like, "This is my country. This is my country." Hey, dumbass. Let's not forget that a lot of your ancestors, not saying all of them, a lot of your ancestors came on this land and stole it from Native Americans and gave them fucking smallpox. We just celebrated Thanksgiving last month. That's what you all celebrated. That we came here, we stole land, we gave people smallpox, and we killed them. That's what celebrating Thanksgiving is. And if you disagree with that, you're disagreeing with history. And not only are you disagreeing with history, you're disagreeing with freedom. I'm not saying that, and people say, "Oh, we don't want illegal sneaking into this country." People are sneaking into this country because things are worse in their country. I'm pretty sure on most people's like quote unquote vision, in most people's vision, it's never to sneak into the United States of America for no reason. They're not going to just wake up and be like, "Hey, I know what I want to do today. I want to wake the fuck up and sneak into America." That's not on anybody's list. And if you think it's on anybody's list, I would love to have an intelligent response, but I can say you dumb. You're dumbass. Like it's all on you. And people thinking that it's not going to get better, people thinking that it's going to get worse, people thinking that we're just going to float by and these next 4 years are not going to get bad. These next 4 years are going to get terrible. They're going to get terrible because what they're gonna do is they're gonna one by one strip away all of your freedoms. That's why Donald Trump said, "Hey, we got abortion done. We got a ban on abortion." Yeah, look, I'm not saying that everyone's like abortion's murder, whatever is this. We have a solution for that. It's not one that you want, but we have a solution for that, which is you make Plan B more readily affordable and give it out more to the people, which is essentially what you do to limit the amount of abortions that happen in the United States. That's exactly what you do. You make Plan B more accessible for women, but you don't want to do that either. And people say the answer is abstinence. Okay, fine, whatever. Sure, that's the answer. But here in reality, people say, oh, they should just wait for marriage. Newsflash, because of rising inflation, most motherfuckers can't afford to get married. That's what people should have thought before they were voting for Donald Trump. If you can't fucking afford to get married, why the fuck would you afford to why would you vote for somebody who's going to sit there and make it even more expensive to do even more common things? Forget getting married. Going to the gas pump, getting groceries, doing all of this. You think that it's gonna be easier. It's not gonna be easier. It's just gonna get harder and harder and harder. And everyone's like, that's fine because they think of the issues. A lot of gay people say, but they're gonna take away marriage. And a common person could say, but how is that going to affect me? The average heterosexual person is gonna be like, but how is that going to affect me? Well, last time I checked, we're supposed to, as a country, we're supposed to unite. We're supposed to fight for everybody, not just fight for this person or that person. We're supposed to fight as a united collective. But hey, you don't want to do that. You want to sit there and just worry about yourself. That's fine. Worry about yourself because yeah, because you're selfish and you think it's just going to be calmer. Everything's going to be calm. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be serene. We're all going to be amazing. Everything's going to work. And at the end of the day, I voted for the president who's going to sit there and actually fight for me. You're wrong. You're wrong. And I'm not saying that Kamala Harris would have helped out the American people either. I don't think she would have. I think she was the wrong choice. I think Joe Biden was the wrong choice. I think AOC should have been the choice. Someone who would have actually fought for people. But this is what happens when we let blowhards in Washington run everything. It's sad. It's really, really sad. That's all I can say. And am I scared? I'm not as scared living in Detroit as I would be in Florida because Detroit is a hub of liberalism. And when people want to fight so hard against liberal ideas and all of this, let's not forget liberals are the ones who got y'all the 40-hour work week. And granted, some people could say, I don't know a 40-hour work week. For those of us who do, I am one of those people. I'm grateful for the 40-hour work week. If you have to work longer than 40 hours, you can blame that on corporate greed. And that's where I'm going to wrap this up. This has been the Opinionated Bitch. I am your host, Prince Electro Diamond, and I hope you've enjoyed.